Hi, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Professor Merriweather is ready to go to class again. Call a friend, text a friend, tell a friend. Professor Merriweather is back in the class of 503 to tell the unadulterated, gospel, messy truth. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am the author of Enough is Enough, Public Education Spiraled Out of Control, as well as the host of Straight Talk in room 503. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Let's get busy. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get on the way, I have a lot of little notes here, so kind of bear with me as you see me looking down and picking up my notes. So just during the course of the week, I make preparation for this class. But ladies and gentlemen, our illustrious president has made another bad mistake. He has went to the FBI director. We are just learning that when I say we just found out, we're just finding out. But he requested that the FBI director, Comer, that he would cease. Oh, could you just kind of lighten up on Flynn? He's my friend. Could you maybe just, kind of drop the investigation? That's called the obstruction of justice when a man is trying to get to the bottom of an investigation. And of course, he's denying it and he's threatening the FBI director. This is the person that a whole lot of my students in my class who happen to be Republicans, who hold distinguishing jobs, who are Sunday school teachers, who are trustees and deacons in these big elaborate churches in my hometown and in your hometown, and that we see in the store and see out. How you turning so-and-so? Judge so-and-so, how you doing? Some of them don't have the sense of pee-wee. And I'm bold and upfront enough to say it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would not have made that decision. But yet you hear people saying, oh, what's going on with Professor Merriweather? He done lost his mind. Ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to hide their ignorance. They're the one who has lost their mind. But ladies and gentlemen, that's called the obstruction of justice. And ladies and gentlemen, there are some Republicans. Not all of them are going hell in a handbasket, not all Democrats. But ladies and gentlemen, they are calling for the impeachment of President Donald J. Trump. Maybe that explains why his wife, Melania, decided not to move to the White House. She knew what her husband was up to. She knew the kind of man that she had married. And ladies and gentlemen, she says no sense in going to the White House for me to have to pick up and bring all of my jewelry and all of my wardrobe back to New York. So hell, I'll just stay here. Melania, you can go. You can have my office. He ain't gonna be there long. And ladies and gentlemen, you have to give us some credit. She may have plagiarized a speech from Miss Michelle Obama, but maybe the girl got more sense than we give her credit for. Let's continue with a little current event before we get deep into public education. Betty Shelton, that's the police officer who shot the black man in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She says she feared for her life, that he was looked like he was reaching into the car going to get some, and I might well just kill him, and they'll quit me. And ladies and gentlemen, as we watched the news just last night across this country, she was acquitted just like she thought. So ladies and gentlemen, she's home with her family, enjoying the summer. And this brother and his family, this brother is deceased and his family is suffering this summer, and life will never be the same. But ladies and gentlemen, she made this statement as they interviewed her, that she wanted her job back. I would say that she probably wanted her job back so she can get a revolver and go and take out a life of another black male. And there is a protest in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Ladies and gentlemen, we in our community, there should be a protest in all 50 states. Because wherever there is injustice, today it could be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tonight it could be your son. Right here in La Jackson, right here in Shelby County, right here in Davidson County, right here in Rutherford County. Injustice just don't happen in certain places. It spreads everywhere. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time we stand up and fight for injustice going to church on Sunday morning, praising God and reading your Bible all the week and going to Bible class, and then afraid to speak out to my black students here in class. Slavery is over. Slavery is over. Also in the news, Roger Ailes, the founder of Fox News, who was charged with sexual misconduct and discrimination. You know, ladies and gentlemen, the Bible says we'll reap what we sow. This man thought he was above the law. He's friends with Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump thinks that he's president of the United States and he's above the law and he can do it Donald Trump way. But ladies and gentlemen, he's not at Burger King. He just can't have it his way. So ladies and gentlemen, God give all of us time, and we all, every one of us, those who are listening to me as well as Professor Merriweather, we have all done some wrong. God said that he will forgive us if we come to him sincerely. So ladies and gentlemen, I do not know this for a fact, but I would just think that Roger Ailes thought that I'm a millionaire, a billionaire one. I don't need for anything. Why would I be asking God for anything, asking God to forgive me for what? I can do what I want to. That's the same mentality that our president of the United States, when he said he could grope a woman, do what he want to. He can grab her if he want to. He even said that if I shoot someone, my popularity wouldn't go down. That's the thinking of Roger Ailes. But ladies and gentlemen, when you don't go to God and get, when the Bible says that when you have an ought with your brother or sister, you're supposed to go to them and seek forgiveness. But Roger Ailes wouldn't do that. He went home to his big million and million dollar worth of mansion. Ladies and gentlemen, as of 48 hours ago, he fell down the steps of his home, down the stairs of his home, hit his head, had to be taken to the hospital. He slipped into a coma and never came out. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll come around. Roger's not with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, and I remember Bill Cosby. We all looked up to him, white and black, rich and poor, learn and unlearn. We liked Bill. But ladies, he had a dark past, drugging young ladies for the purpose of sex. And then when caught, would not apologize and ask for forgiveness. You remember Evangelist Swagger, who was caught with a prostitute? He had enough sense to know that the Bible that I've been reading said that if I go to God, he'll forgive me. So he went to God and asked for forgiveness. And then he asked his congregation and this nation to forgive him. He got forgiveness, and he's continued preaching at his mega church and is a profound evangelist. We must do that. But ladies and gentlemen, when Roger Ailes wouldn't do it, look what happened to him. Bill Cosby wouldn't do it, and now he's blind. He can't even see a woman. So ladies and gentlemen, what go around comes around. Ladies and gentlemen, if you remember when I told you in class last week, Betty DeVoe, I hope I said her name correctly, she was the commencement speaker at Bethune-Cookman College, a historical black college of all places for Betsy to be there. Betsy is opposed to public education. She's for voucher, charter schools, private schools. What the hell would the president, Johnson, be inviting Betty to his campus? Well, I guess that when all of our distinguishing president of historical college was up there to the White House, maybe Donald told him, if you don't scratch while you're not itching, and you don't beg, you're not going to get any money from me. So they started trying to do things that would help their colleges and help them to get money, and started inviting people that didn't care about their students. It makes me wonder about some of the presidents of historical black colleges. Do you really care about your black students? But ladies and gentlemen, I thought it was over when Betsy went and they booed her. And listen to the words of the president. He strutted up to the podium. If you continue to boo like that, I'm not going to give your diploma. I'll mail it to you. Oh, hell no, Mr. President. If I was sitting in the order and looking at my son or my grandson, oh, hell no. I come this far, paid all this money, My son went through all of this, and you going to tell me because you got Bessie up here speaking and they booed her, you going to hold my son's diploma and mail it to me? They may get you in the mail. You better get my darn diploma. I'm a free man. I'm a free black man. I'm not, no need of me acting like some of the people in my hometown. Yeah, sir. I'm no driver, Miss Daisy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to stand up and be counted. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not over. The president of Texas Southern University, another historical black president, he thought he'd get him a little money for himself and a little money for his school. So he invited Senator John Cornyn, Cornyn. My pronunciation is a weakness for me. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope I pronounce it again. It's John, Cornyn. He invited him to speak to his predominantly black students. Thank God that when the students found out who they were going to have to sit there and listen to, after some in Bethune-Cookman College listened to Bessie, they decided they weren't going to have it. And I'm commending them for standing up and protesting. Oh, hell no, we're not going to go through this. And the president had to call him and say, well, there's an outcry and maybe at a later date, you can come back. No, at no date are you coming back, sir. But ladies and gentlemen, it's mind-boggling why these administrators think that it's appropriate to invite speakers who represent nothing but harm to those particular population that they're speaking to at the commencements. At the very least, they should find someone they care about all children. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm losing a lot of respect in some of our historical black presidents. Bubba and Pee Wee and Nene are beginning to look better than some of the presidents who are making stupid decisions. But ladies and gentlemen, continuing the public news, President Trump has set up a commission, and this commission is a election integrity committee to study the election of all people, the way he's conducting himself. He placed a guy by the chairman by the name of Chris Kobach. Let's look at Chris. Chris has spent his life trying to stop people of color and from voting, and Donald J. Trump is investigating election integrity. I wonder what some of the black Republicans are saying now, those who said blacks for Donald Trump. Some of the black Republicans in my hometown, what are they saying now? Are you going to be ignorant all of your life? Late last year, a judge, Judge James Oakley, came under fire for making a comment on Facebook. He made a comment about lynching the judge now. Lynching, this is 2019, lynching a black man accused of killing a San Diego police officer. He quickly apologized and said that it had nothing to do with race. Yep, right. Ladies and gentlemen, how long are we going to have to put up with this kind of stupidity and call ourselves intelligent? Ladies and gentlemen, why would you take a mule to the Kentucky Derby to win the Kentucky Derby? My question is why in my hometown and your hometown and across this country, why are we placing people in leadership position that can't win the race that is just as dumb as taking a mule to the Kentucky Derby? Give it some thought. Think about it. Why are we following injustice leaders, staying in the boat with them when God is asking us, come and walk on water? How stupid can you be to continue following poor leadership? Continue to allow these people to lead our children. That is why our children are losing respect for our parents, because they see us doing all kind of stuff. They see you running with people, speaking to people, doing things that people who are hurting other people and you expect them to have respect because I'm your daddy, I'm your uncle. That's why they losing respect. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not boasting and bragging. I give God all the credit. After my many years of working with thousands and thousands of children and families in need, both black and white, rich and poor, I had some of them with chief of police children, board members, people, attorneys in my distinguishing city. But ladies and gentlemen, I see them out. I just was out last night at the grocery store and did not see the young man. Mr. Meriwether, how you doing? I miss you, man. Good to see you. I haven't forgot what you told us. Just like they haven't forgot what I said to them during my years in teaching and administrating in the public school system. They haven't forgot what their mama and their daddy did and said. So, ladies and gentlemen, maybe our children are the way they are because of the stupidity that they have observed us doing. Just give it some thought, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it's time, it's time for a change. But ladies and gentlemen, let's continue because we're going to now flip over and go to public education. Ladies and gentlemen, before I go any further in talking and wondering what our faith-based community, and in particular, those who look like me, the leaders of the faith-based community in my community. Not all of them across this country are alike. Not everybody's not doing wrong, everybody's not doing right. But it really made me feel good as I read this week in my local paper, Jackson Sun, that they're about a black church who he stated that he was trying to do some good in his neighborhood, and so he invites students in and make sure that he worked with them and tutored them and helped them and teach them life skills. That is what one of the churches is doing. And then in my hometown, it is now summer, school is out. They have Vacation Bible School for their children, and if you want to bring some of your friends. But as a whole, across this great nation of ours, our churches are closed during the week until Wednesday night. But there are some churches that are doing something. As I told you last week, Reverend Price of New Vision in my hometown, every second Friday invite children in and feed them and talk to them and listen to them. We are talking to our children, but are we listening to our children? They have concern. They are intelligent and smart. We don't give them a whole lot of credit. That's why when they disappoint us, we jump all over them. But all along they were saying, but dad, but mom, but aunt, but uncle. I was trying to tell you I had a need and I wanted to discuss it, but I couldn't find nobody to talk to. So I confided in my friends, and you see the kind of decision that was made. So ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day. But ladies and gentlemen, in my hometown, the president of my historical college where I graduated from, when I observed that they was about to close a school, JCM, not far from Lane College, I made contact with the president of the college and recommended that he seek to get this building and have an incubator for teachers, because we're having a shortage of black teachers. And some of them are having problems passing the practicum and filling out the application and getting in and what have you. And we can work with them. Not only is it this to be a school for people of color, but for anyone. We're not the only one that's having some problem. But ladies and gentlemen, we need to increase the number of people of color in our school system, and when predominantly in our public school system, we rank at the top. But ladies and gentlemen, this particular president of distinction didn't think too well of my suggestion. He came to the board meeting and I was there and asked that he get the building. For what purpose, sir? Football. For band. And he came back a month later, can I get the cafeteria so we can use it for feeding? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are people in the community that talks about, all those black people think about, is band, beating, hollering, band, watching, and playing ball, and eating a lot. And this distinguishing president This is what he asked the board for the purpose of football. Band. There was no mention of academics, no mentoring program, no program to prepare teachers. And ladies and gentlemen, in my hometown, Lane College was the one that fed black teachers into our school system. And at this particular time, it's a sad commentary. There's no teaching program at this historical black college. And last year, the outgoing superintendent, Vernon Ruffin, hired 115 teachers. 10 African Americans are black to me, 7 females, 3 blacks, the rest of them white. We do have a new superintendent, and there are teachers that have retired this year as we get ready to over the summer. She will be interviewing, and if she would do that last year, and she's on her way out, and her phone is ringing and said, we need you to do a couple more favors. We'll make sure you get rewarded on your way out the door. She's going to do it again before our first black, Dr. Eric Jones, can take over and undo a lot of this mess that's going on and make it better for all children. But ladies and gentlemen, the clock on the wall says I got to get out of here. So let me say this here. In my hometown, they continually have, and they had another one, they call it a community prayer meeting, where all of the churches come together and they pray for the different schools. They have a schedule now over the course of the summer that they will meet at several of the schools, and they will be praying for the students and administrators and what have you. Each Wednesday night, there will be food from 6 to 7, as people have to come and make preparation for this. Then from 7 to 8, they will at various schools, they will be led in prayer. And they showed some pictures, some of our distinguishing black men of the cloth holding hand with white men of the cloth. Call themselves praying to Almighty God. Well, my question is this to these distinguishing people that think they're so smart. If we could come together at the various schools and pray, and they're closing schools down in your neighborhood, and you are not able to have people of color to assist and be teaching your child, while at the school that they closed down out in a predominant black neighborhood, they had a white principal, a white system principal, and a white guidance counselor. They created a college high school. They got a white principal over the school in our neighborhood. There are more white administrators in a predominantly black school system, and they're no different. As I say every week, the same thing is happening in your hometown. You're just too stupid to see it. Are you blind? Maybe you're Ray Charles. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day. It's a sad, sad day. I was listening to the talk show on this past week, and one of my associates came on the air, and he was saying that he had no problem with inviting people that Donald Trump sided with to speak to predominantly historical black college. And this is a man with a PhD degree. So I'm sick and tired of you talking about Pee Wee, Bubba, and Tay Tay, Frog, Gigi, when we have people that with so-called education just thinking like this. He said he had no problem, that maybe the schools need the money. Well, that's called begging. Mr. Charlie, will you please give me some money? I beg for no man. Why would I be begging? And my father owns everything. I'm the heir to my father. Why we begging? Go to school, get a PhD degree, get a good job, live next door to people who don't want to be next to you, and then you got to go and beg Mr. Charlie for money. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, one way to do it would be to let me send someone to speak to your students. And then he sit back. Guess who I sent down into the historical black college? It's a joke, ladies and gentlemen. And then to allow the president to hire one man of color, Uncle Ben Carson, and put him over housing and urban development. And everybody knows that predominantly those in the housing complex look like me. But yet we call ourselves smart. Ladies and gentlemen, the clock on the wall says time for me to get out of here. So let me give you my closing comments. This week, in my hometown, and it's happening in your hometown if you just pay attention. The city, we have city and county government. And the city has been giving tax dollars to the school system. This year, for budget reason, and probably poor management as well, they met on yesterday of this telecast and voted. Now, let me give you a makeup. We have 9 members, 3 blacks, 6 white. I will be checking to see how did my brothers vote. But $12 million was voted back from the school system that they would not allow $12 million to go to public education in my hometown. More disturbing than that, on the 10 o'clock news, they came back, they surveyed some people to see what they thought about taking $12 million from public education. But yet they're building a $30 million prison to house people who look like me. Got no problem with building prison because we make a lot of money off of them. The average, every inmate, they make $250,000 off it per year on every. That's why they prioritize in the prison. It's money to be made. They live in a big home while we locked up in a 4x4. Ladies and gentlemen, this is sad. But the survey said that they interviewed some intelligent people now in my hometown. And the same damn thing is going on in yours. 81% of the people said no, they didn't think that the city council should withhold money from public education. But watch this. 14% says yes, they should have taken the money from public education. That's them private schools, people. 5% of the intelligent people in my hometown said, I don't care. If you add 5 to 14, you get 19% of the people either doesn't care or said take the money from a predominant black school system. That's what they just said. You ought to be able to figure that out. Your so-called smart, intelligent self. But ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude this show, I'm with James Brown. I'd rather die on my feet. Let me correct it. I'd rather die standing on my feet than die on my knees. I beg no man. Me free man. Don't know about you. Maybe you so in love with Mr. Bill and Master, but I'm not. It's a sad day. A very sad day. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this class, and summer is about to get ready to start in a week or so. It'll be a long, hot summer. Our kids have nothing to do. But ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude with James Baldwin, when he wrote this letter to Angela Davis when she was in prison. Remember this. If they came for you today, they will be coming after me tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, there are some good people in this world and there are some bad people. There are some good politicians and bad politicians. Some good Republicans and some bad Republicans. Good Democrats and bad Democrats. There are some good pastors and some bad pastors. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to wake up and recognize that it's time for a change. We must make sure that all children get a proper education. And ladies and gentlemen, I was so disturbed when I found out that my local president of the NAACP himself is telling other people, I was playing golf with the mayor. I wonder why we couldn't get ahead in my city, because we're sleeping with people that don't want to do right by us. But what? And then in about a week, we got the Freedom Fund banquet coming up. And as I said before, one of the co-hosts of the Freedom Fund banquet that my people will have to sit there and listen to is a Republican that does not have us as on his agenda. And that there's an award going out to a brother, white brother. Race relation award will be given to him. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell has he done? So, ladies and gentlemen, know this black free man will not be at the NWC banquet this year. When the president is playing golf with the mayor and not getting nothing for our people. And this is the same mayor that advocated taking $12 million from black students, and you playing golf with them, grinning and laughing. No wonder we don't have no fakeness in our organization. And I don't know where in the hell the sororities and fraternities, the federation, the faith-based community that look like us, where are they? I guess Master is trying to get them to play golf and bowl with them or something. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to me. I hope to see you next week if the Lord says the same. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, live your day if it's the last day, because one day it very well will be. And you will have to stand judgment. Can you imagine Roger L. standing judgment? Bill Cosby, and others just like him who are still doing wrong. It's time to wake up and get it right. I'm your host, Morris Merriweather, the author of Enough is Enough, Public Education Inspired Out of Control, and the host of Straight Talk in Room 503. Take care of yourself. I'll be back next week with the message of truth again. But ladies and gentlemen, a lot of you haven't joined me. I've been going out on that limb for you, trying my best to help your children. I don't have a child in public education, but I'm going to fight for all children. But ladies and gentlemen, that's okay. Because even though you're not out there on the limb with me, I got the Lord on my side. And I can moonwalk back. See you next week.